I'm going to read you the verse. Galatians 4 verse 26 says, "But the Jerusalem above, which is the mother of us all, is free." Jerusalem, mother. Because just as the earth was where the body of clay was made, and therefore would be the mother of this body, and that's why they call it Mother Earth. Of course, we shouldn't fall into the worship of Gaia or the earth as Elohim. That's a different thing. My point is, just as our earthly mother gave birth to us, this body was made from this earth, and therefore it is a mother. Like I said, just as the earth is the mother of this body, just as our earthly mom is our mother in this world, Jerusalem is the spiritual mother, because we came from there. When we entered this body, we existed before with him. That's why we were predestined. Is all of that clear? Now then, here's where things can be misunderstood. In Christianity, they've taught people to see a lot of things the wrong way. Through misinterpretations, sadly, they've taught a bunch of false doctrines and made everything look negative. I mean, they demonize everything. They can't manage to see the positive along with the negative. Normally, they only focus on the negative. Remember that when Yahweh created everything, he said it was all very good. But when we took from the fruit, we were taking the authority to decide if something is bad, because we received the knowledge of good and evil. And in this world, good and evil are mixed together, because there are good things that are actually bad, that is, things that feel good but are bad for us, or there are things that feel bad but are actually good for us. So we need intellect and truth to know what is truly good and what is truly bad, and to act according to that, not according to emotions or feelings or, pleasure. So, Yahweh. Well, with what I'm saying about Christianity, it's been taught that, for example, reincarnation, if someone mentions it, it's a sin, it's satanic, it's a cult, without paying attention to what the scripture actually says about it. Because since it was removed a long time ago, in Catholicism we were all taught that this was satanic because, according to them, it comes from Hinduism, and therefore anyone who mentions it is basically Hindu. Wrong. And a whole bunch of other doctrinal things. And this is one of them. Because Christians who say that the Almighty is the Father and that the Messiah is the Son reject the idea that there could be a mother. And if someone says that the Ruach, that the set-apart spirit, is the mother, heresy. How could it be heresy if Yahweh made mothers on earth as a reflection of a mother in heaven? Just as Eve came from Adam, the Ruach HaKodesh came from Yahweh. And through their union came the image that gave Yahushua, the Son. To have a child, you need a father and a mother, not just a father. Even though nowadays people say you only need a mother, that you don't need a father anymore. You need both a father and a mother. Just as Eve came from Adam, from Yahweh as the mind came the Ruach HaKodesh, as the spirit, the thought, the desire. That's why the Spirit of Yahweh moved over the waters. As I've told you, just like the woman moves around the house doing everything while the man usually wants to stay seated, calm, not doing anything. That's Yahweh on his throne while the Spirit is acting, doing everything, arranging everything and so on. So, from Yahweh came the Ruach, just as thought comes from the mind, and after thought comes the word. Mind, thought, and word are Yahweh, the Ruach HaKodesh, and Yahushua the Son. Father, mother, and son. Remember that in Hebrew, what is translated as spirit is Ruach. And in Hebrew, Ruach is feminine, because several spirits are called Rujit, and OT is the feminine plural. So Ruach is a feminine word. That's why I say La Ruach, even though in Spanish it's customary to say El Espiritu. And that's why Philip, in his book that was removed from Scripture, clearly says, "How can you say that Miriam conceived from the Spirit? When has it ever been seen that a woman conceives from another woman?" What Luke said was that Miriam was covered by the Spirit and the power of Yahweh impregnated her. In other words, the Spirit and the Father came together in Miriam so that the Son could be there. Is that clear?